it's just so cold. I'm really cold. Why did I choose to be here? Why was I so bold? The wind it bites, the lonely nights I've spent just trying to climb out of this wretched hole.
Through the wind and through the snow, you hear this voice, Tustin. You're singing your heart out because it's been the only thing to offer yourself warmth.
There's someone inside.
Should we sing back to
Oh, I would love to.
Okay.
It's really cold.
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 Might we come in to get warm with you?
Once you get inside the workshop, it is better.
What is your name?
My name is Tustin Trollbreaker.
We saw this place in a vision from a god.
Really? What did you see?
Well, I saw this very building reverberating with some kind of energy, and I saw the decimation of this place.
Is there warmer clothes or something that we can put on our friends?
Well, you could borrow some of mine. I've got a stockpile over here.
Oh.
You two run over and you start grabbing at these furs, and as you're pulling the furs apart, a skeletal arm flops out between some of the furs.
Is that a whole body or is that just an arm?
I don't know.
Saint picks it up gingerly by one finger.
You pick up the bony hand or arm, and it doesn't like fall out of the furs or anything. It's obviously connected to more.
You sort of get a sixth sense of something, and you just move your head slightly, and a snowball hits the other side of the wall that seems to come out from outside.
Someone threw something at me.
Get down.
There's that ghost again.
I'm sorry, did you say ghost? What kind of ghost?
Since I've been here, just things have been moving around a bit. I put something down, and I thought maybe it was just me mind.
If you give me a few moments, I can discover what might be causing these anomalies.
Your detect magic finally finishes, and you are
He looks
almost
amazing.
blinded by how much magic resonates from the building itself, the workshop, the forge, the dead dwarf on the ground, almost everything except for the debris and the wood barrels and the furs themselves radiate with some kind of magic, some more than others. One thing in particular, inside the workbench, buried inside it, possibly in a secret compartment, you can't quite tell, but there's so much magic resonating from the center of that workbench that it is hard to even look at. So as soon as you lean over to look underneath the workbench, one of the drawers pops open and hits you right in the face.
There's something very magical in the bench. I'm guessing that's what's causing all of this rigmarole.
You all hear the metal slats that were open start to slam shut and then open again and slam shut and open again and slam shut continuously.
Yeah, that's creepy.
You're just giving me an attitude. If you want to talk about attitude, we can go back and forth. But
Right
right now,
a small hammer from the rubble begins to float in the air and spin and sort of turn in your direction.
I'll try to grab
Saint
it.
rushes over with her shield to
So
protect Cristobal.
as soon as you grab it, it falls into your hand as if something has let it go.
I am not here to hurt you or whatever you are. I'm just trying to find me and my friends a way home and maybe help this gentleman whatever he is needing. You can't be trying to drive us away. You haven't seen anyone in how long?
The shutters begin to slow and they stop closed.
Right. You don't have a lot of friends out here, do you?
That's not nice.
I'm not being mean. I'm being factual. So
You hear footsteps.
Saint, I mean, I don't want this to sound weird, it probably will. You're a holy person. Do you want to try to talk to the ghost?
Oh, I can certainly try. Wee little ghost, we didn't mean to scare you. Wee little ghost, come back home. We are so very, very far from where we are meant to be. So please come talk to me.
Saint's eyes, for the briefest of moments, change color to a dark russet brown, and they grow in size a little bit, and then she blinks, and then the eyes return to normal.
Okay, I'm going to look into the workbench. Okay, I'm looking, and then I'll try and...
So you get down to where you were before, and you see there's actually a metal box that has been riveted into the bottom side of the workbench. You pry off enough of the rivets to where you can get underneath one of the actual metal strips, and you pry that off, and the metal box hangs down just enough to where you can peer inside. The first thing you see is a pretty big hunk of black rock.
That you identify immediately.
Yeah. The next thing you see is a metal gauntlet with runes all over it that has 6 fingers.
My entire court was killed by a man with 6 fingers who cast magics that I have never seen before. And if something like that could help me to bring justice to those who were unjustly slain by a terrible human being like this man was, I will pay you anything for you to allow me to study it.
I'm not just gonna let you walk out of here with it.
The man who sent me here is the one with 6 fingers. And for me to have been sent to the North Island and not a day later come across a gauntlet with 6 fingers on it, I cannot help but see some sort of symbolism there. What if we were to find something else? And then you could take that something else, and I would take the gauntlet.
You find a small, you almost missed it, a small little silver needle shoved into the remnants of the boot on the left leg of the dwarven skeleton. There are what at first you thought was 2 tomes. There's actually just one big tome, has 3 metal rings that hold together these finely pound metal pages, and then etched onto each of the pages is all of the details surrounding that gauntlet. Val, he points to one of the pairs of tongs, and it looks like those tongs have been magically enchanted to withstand extreme temperatures. On the wind, all of you hear, "Go."
There seems to be a figure standing in the blizzard.
Oh my
and as you point and look at it, it just dissipates and disappears as the blizzard blows.
Oh, spoopy.
There's not just the workshop, yes? There are other things to this city, settlement, whatever it is?
Yes, well, what I saw in my vision was a tower.
The tower, you said, went beneath the ice. And then this, I'm going to turn out to the ghost and say, and I hate to say this, but in this blizzard, we have nowhere else to go. So unless you want to bring the tower up out of the ice and make it...
As you say that, the blizzard from the blizzard that seems to be where that figure was sort of parts a little. And what you can see is simply the top of what looks like the base of a tower.
And more of the stone starts to reveal itself. You see, with your stone cunning again, a outline in the stone, and then you eventually get the idea to take out those tools, and you start slamming those down on the rock, and the rock starts giving way inch by inch by inch until finally, and you see 7 frozen figures all lined up in a circle around the brazier that you just dropped this rock down on top of. The 7 figures that are in this room are all mummified, but mummified because they have been frozen solid.
And you hear what sounds like footsteps down a floor, as if they are descending deeper into the tower.
But each one of these dwarves is clutching something.
the dwarves did not worship Thassia the way the current residents of the North Island do. They worshipped older gods.
You look over at KoKo. KoKo is looking into the hands of one of these dwarves, and it's clutching something, and she's able to kind of pull it out a little bit. And then as you glance around at these other dwarves, each one is clutching something different.
I'll let you have the six-fingered gauntlet if you let me have these. I'm sure my clan would...
Yes, deal.
There's another hatch leading down, but
I heard something down there. Did you guys hear
no,
something?
this was footsteps or something.
But when Saint comes over and casts the light down, that's when you see the walls of this room are a beautiful metallic mural. And the mural depicts dwarves and giants in various poses. You actually get to a portion of the mural where there's a beautiful female giant and a very stout, handsome dwarven king, you can only guess, standing in front of a wall, and they're both signing it, carving a rune, signing on the wall.
You hear more footsteps, what sound like descending stairs.
So not in this level, below even.
Sounds
further?
like it's, as you come down, it sounds as if it's continuing to descend.
For the life of you, it sounds like chirping or like bird song. It doesn't make any sense.
I'll open the hatch down.
You angry?
So you pry open this
No,
hatch.
I'm getting annoyed. I
and
like.
You
yeah.
look down, and in this room, there is another frozen dwarf. The hands are outstretched and holding in its grasp this dead dwarf covered in runes is a skull.
And just below the skull on the floor ceiling of this level is what appears to be a feather.
My god has been here. This is a sparrow's feather.
Maybe that was tied into your dream somehow.
You're glancing around this room, Saint, and you notice that the markings on the floor, the ceiling, and the walls aren't just random markings. They're dots that have had lines drawn between the dots.
Like a constellation?
Exactly. And as soon as you have that thought, you recognize the constellation of the dragon, the constellation of the chalice, and the constellation of the archer.
This is quite incredible, these constellations representing, at least from what I remember from my own studies, that these are the early representations of Thassia and Lumbra.
I'm sorry, did you say Lumbra? Look, and I'll show the back, which has the two buildings that emulate the design of the chalice of Lumbra. This was the mirror that my lady gave to me, which took me here.
She kind of pulls him over and, okay, hold up the mirror to this corpse.
That I'm looking at the dwarf through the mirror and seeing if anything is happening.
Its eyes begin to open, even though it doesn't have eyes. They turn into dark brown, tired eyes. The mouth opens up and breathes out.
Take it and die.
If it what? Sorry?
what?
Take it and die.
Oh no.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah,
We're
I
not
don't
taking
want
it.
We're not taking it.
I'm sorry, why are you saying that?
Because when I held up the mirror like you told me to, the eyes, they looked like your eyes did earlier. They were old and brown and sad and tired.
Ah, the wee
And
ghosts.
yes, and the mouth opened and said, take it and die.
The feather begins to, almost as if it wants to break loose from your hold.
Do you want to show me something?
It feels like it's trying to yank from your grasp.
She lets it go.
It begins to float in the air, and what you see, drawn in what look like wisps of air, it says, take.
3, 2, 1.
Oh dear.
Okay, so as soon as you grab the skull, 3 things happen simultaneously. 1, all of the ice in all of the windows shatter. The dwarf that's immediately in front of you comes to life for a moment, starts to reach for the skull and reach for you,
I stab him in the
and
chest.
then shatters into pieces. The third thing that happens is you hear a horrific moaning sound coming from above you. And you hear the scraping of bone and ice. You can tell by the amount of water that's rushing in through these windows that this room will fill in a matter of seconds.
7 undead dwarves fall into one of which breaks apart from the shatter spell as the floor falls in.
The spirit comes into the room, gets right up in your face. You will never leave.
The bones begin to shake and roll towards one another, and it's just clack, 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 and it.
I will present my holy symbol and I will turn the undead.
All right. Capre, the face of Capre, seems to come over and say, "Hurry! The gnolls are here!"
Well, remember how I said the ice was kind of weak around the edge of the tower? That starts to crack and give way, and the entire tower begins to sink underwater. So when you get to the surface, you immediately dive off of the stone that you were standing on to get to solid ice, and you skid across the ice, and with Otto and Capre's help, or whoever gets out first, Cristobal, they pull you away from the edges of the ice as that tower sinks away. Capre looks off to the south by southwest, points, and says,
"They're here! The Lucrota!"
And you glance off that direction and you see 2 of those hyena creatures dripping with ooze, laughing maniacally at you, and then they begin to run back towards, you're assuming, the war pack.
And you can hear in the distance as they run, "They're here! The Lucrota!"
As they mimic the cries of help. And that is where we will end our episode.